people say, oh, have you ever pitched ideas what are the ideas that got away? And it's like, they want to hear as if there's a complete show that existed. We just didn't get to do it. And it's like, outside of Atlantis, I pitched hundreds of ideas,
Yeah.
and some didn't get past a meeting or a paragraph, and others I did a whole pitch on, but they didn't pass that pitch to become an actual show. It wasn't developed in detail. So that's, there aren't those lost, juicy bits that you want to hear. Like people say, what are the stories you wanted to do? And it's like, every time we pitched premises, if we wanted 3 premises, we pitched at least 5 or 5 to 8. So in one way, yeah, all those others were stories we wanted to do, but those were just premises. And that was back in the day where a premise didn't have to be a little mini outline. It was basically,
The tagline.
there's this woman she's a female Mr. Freeze, but she wears a tutu, and this is her hang up. And, we're thinking this would be the dynamic of the thing. And that would be about it, and you either get a chance to do it or not.
Well, and I feel like, like with a lot of those like pitches too, like you're not going to remember those because they weren't fully fleshed out ideas.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
You didn't get a chance to really, sit down and, think about ways in which you can, make that character more relatable or, make this plot more engaging. But I feel like, the ones that you do remember are those ideas that were fully fleshed out that you could have just made better if you had just a little bit more resources or a little bit more time.
Yeah. And even then, the memory of things, there are people who are on staff and they assume, in Darkwing, for instance, they assume, Darkwing was based on 2 episodes of DuckTales, Double O Duck and the Masked Mallard. And that's not true at all. It was Jeffrey Katzenberg walking up to me and saying, I want you to create a show called Double O Duck, but it can't be Launchpad. It has to be a brand new character. That was it. I had never seen the Masked Mallard episode, which evidently Scrooge is a superhero.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see people on staff at the time think that, see how it's, they're putting things together, and they'll go at a con or a panel and say, this is what it's based on. It's like, no, I was ordered to do it. If Jeffrey hadn't done that, it's not like I was sitting around with the idea of a Silver Age superhero duck.
Yeah.
I would never have pitched that sort of thing. It wouldn't have come to me that way. So again, it's people assume there's all these hidden treasures. They basically want to hear a description of more episodes. And it's like, sorry, I have to wait for the new guy to come through.
Which, I mean, you'd think that they would give Darkwing his own gritty reboot eventually. Maybe give him that.
I would love to. I don't know what's up. I know the DuckTales guys have a huge storyline they would love to do with Darkwing, and you'll see a little bit of it.
Yeah.
But it's DuckTales. It's not the Darkwing series. So as more episodes come out, you'll get to see Goslin and Launchpad. And then I know the ideas that they say, if we got to do a series, this is what it would be, because it's not as simple as, we're going to do the old series. It's like, no, it's a different universe, and you've got a different relationship with Negaduck. And is that going to stay the same, or will that change? And you'll end up in a whole totally different show. Will they ever get a chance to do that? That's, I haven't talked to Frank in a long time, but that's been a roller coaster. There's been times where it looks like they're going to let us do the show. It looks like they're going to let us do the show. It's like, oh no, they're not doing the show. We might do a movie. I don't know what we're going to do. Hey, might do that show again. So finally they just, it's like, okay, we got to keep moving and just not worry about it. So I would love for them to get the chance, because there's, you will see the beginnings of their Darkwing story played out in DuckTales. So you at least get that, and who knows what happens after that.
Well, I mean, that's a great way to test the waters, though. You know what I mean? Reintroduce the character through DuckTales, see if it's, something that resonates with the kids. And, if it is, use that as a way to expand back. Or expand out, I should say, but to, I guess take a step back into Darkwing. You had mentioned earlier that you had influences from a lot of the old WB cartoons on him, and obviously he's had influences like the Shadow and the Rogues Gallery being influenced by Spider-Man, Batman, James Bond. I mean, there's a lot of influences. So just kind of to take a step back into what influenced you when you were a kid, what sort of mediums or comics, movies, cartoons did really resonated with you?
When I was a little kid, brace yourself, comics were a dime, 10 cents. And then my first Marvel comic was, I always forget the number. It's Tales of Suspense. I want to say 38, whatever, Iron Man versus the Melter. And this is Iron Man in his
Oh
old
yeah,
yellow
yeah,
suit. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, and I was on vacation and I bought that one. I also bought Tales to Astonish 49, which was the issue where Ant-Man became Giant Man.
yeah,
And there was something about those comics with that Marvel box in the corner that just felt different. And this was at Lake Tahoe on the border of California and Nevada. And as we traveled around the lake, this is back when obviously there were no comic shops. Comics were like at newsstands, at supermarkets.
yeah,
It wasn't like they were everywhere, but they were in a common place. And you'd always search for them. And I tried to buy all the ones that I could because they just felt different. Um, but when I was even, and that was probably when I was going to say 11,
hmm,
around there. When I was much younger, you'd go to the barber shop and there'd always be comics there, and I bought, and that was the prime silver age of Superman and Batman and the Flash when they were just way sillier and
yeah,
stupider in a lot of ways. I remember there was uh, for a while, Batman got more science fiction oriented, and it's like Batman and Robin are in another dimension, another planet where the aliens can't see the color red. So they picked red berries and rubbed it on themselves, which made them invisible. It's like, okay, let's just go with it. And there was a lot of let's just go with it in the comics,
suspend your
and that was
disbelief.
that was perfect for Darkwing. And they reused stories. We used Sarah Bellum, I think, was the character who in Darkwing Duck, or no, she was whatever. We had a villainess who's got super evolved, and her head grew into a giant size.
You kind
They
of like
did
believe
that
it.
story in the Flash. They did it on Lois Lane, and they did it to Superman. Um, they constantly reuse things, and in fact, at Darkwing, I told the writers, I said, pitch me the comic book cover. What is that image that you're going to see that makes you want to pick up the comic? That way, no matter how the story went, there was a visual core to the thing. And it was
Yeah,
Darkwing as an old man, or, Dark Goslin dressed up as Darkwing and Darkwing dressed up as Goslin or something. It's like, is that a brain switch or some.
yeah, yeah,
Um, you had something there at the core. I loved our aliens that were hats. That would take mind control you by being hats on their heads. But I mean, that mind troll trope was like the Starro, the starfish that took over the Justice League in
yeah, yeah.
first issues, um, if not the first.